the core of how we built our business in 12x in 5 years, it didn't happen on accident. Like, that's the play. It's hard work, and it's the farming, strategic farming, and there's scalability pieces, but not just thinking we can automate everything, right? It's still fostering relationships and gathering market intel and all of those things.
Hi, welcome to the I Hope This Email Finds You Well, a business development podcast hosted by Neil Barrow. I'm joined here today by Kate Hall, business development principal at Embark. You're a unique duck, I think, in the world of business development. You were an accountant. You were a professional, worked at Big Four.
Yep.
And before you became a big deal in business development at Embark. So let's start there. Tell me a little bit about your time in Big Four.
Yeah. So have my undergrad and master's in accounting, went to Big Four, like everyone tells you that's the path. I actually started in advisory, which was kind of unique at the time because you get audit and tax drilled into your head from day one. So I was excited to have the opportunity on that side of the house. Was traveling 100%, testing SOX controls. So super sexy stuff right out of the gate. And realized that was just a tough lifestyle with the travel piece. So I decided to look for a new role. And so met with a few recruiting agencies. And it was a total 180, got recruited to be a recruiter. So sales BD was never on the horizon for me. So I feel like I kind of fell into it. And
like most of us, I think, on our path. But so Big Four to recruiting, but at Big Four, so you were an associate. Did you get promoted to senior?
I left right before I made senior.
Okay.
Yep.
So at an associate level, I'm just curious, like, what is the vibe of business development? Did you get any spider sense of business development, or did they train? Like, how did that work?
Yeah. In Big Four, it's very behind the scenes.
Okay.
And Big Four, I mean, they can put their name on the side of the building and clients are calling them and asking them for, please take my money and do my work.
Sure.
So it was very behind the scenes, and then, essentially the partner's role.
Okay.
So never front and center in what we were thinking about and doing.
Okay.
Yeah, day to day.
So you didn't have any sense of the business development piece, but then you were recruited to be then a recruiter.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was an interesting scenario of kind of like running away from accounting, right? Versus running towards BD or sales or recruiting, however you want to say it.
Right.
So it was a unique thing. And I thought, let's try this. A lot of it sounds good and fun and like a good path, but worst case scenario, I can go back to accounting.
Okay.
Right?
No, I love, that's a great perspective on that. And so, but what attracted you initially to recruiting?
Yeah. So I had gotten pulled in on campus recruiting projects a few years, like the time that I was at KPMG, and that was really fun. It was essentially party planning, and there was a line of people around the building wanting to work at KPMG. So that's like a very different dynamic, but I liked it, right? I liked talking to people. I liked talking about accounting, maybe more than doing accounting. Hindsight, maybe that's a big sign. But got a little taste of it there.
Yeah.
And so when I decided to move into recruiting, kind of the gateway drug to sales here is that I got to help my friends find better jobs, more money, less commute, better manager, what have you, while I kind of learned the sales and business development piece. So it was a kind of a unique transition in that way.
So I'm sure it was attractive to the recruiting firm. It's like, hey, we have somebody coming from Big Four that has a network of Big Four people.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
and as a 22-year-old being told you have a network, you're like, I guess that is what that is, right? Yeah.
Yeah. You didn't even know that you had a network.
Yeah. They're just
time.
my friends.
They're friends.
Right. Yeah.
And that's a good point, right? As we start out in business development or in any professional service role as a professional, like an accountant, those are the foundation of your network is your alumni, your colleagues, your friends.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah. No, that's funny. Okay. So then you jump into the recruiting.
Yep.
What were the expectations for you for that role?
Yes. Very, very high volume metrics. So, we were making 100 calls a day.
Oh.
Gosh, I remember. This was 15 years ago now. I'm going to date myself. But 100 cold calls a day. And, you needed to be interviewing. They had 10 candidates a week at least. Yeah. So that was like a big adjustment.
So 100 calls a day. So you went from internal compliance work to making 100 dials a day?
Cold calls a day. Yes.
Okay, where
Yeah.
did y'all just have a list?
We had a little database. Yeah. I think this
Okay.
might have been from the black market, but CPA sitters, right? Who
Okay.
just passed their CPA. Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah. Got a hold of that
okay.
list.
Okay, so you're making those dials. So what did
Yes.
you so obviously if you're making 100 dials a day, you're exercising that muscle pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are reluctant to pick up
Hmm.
the phone.
Sure.
And because it's awkward, it's
Hmm.
nobody we make excuses,
Hmm.
nobody's going to pick up.
Yep.
Obviously this was a while ago
Yes.
where it was maybe a little bit easier to get people on the phone.
Yep.
But what did you learn through your process on what makes a good cold call?
I think it's how do you get someone's guard down immediately?
Okay.
Right. How do you build that rapport quickly and
Mhm.
credibility quickly? And I had the unique benefit of leaning on my background. Hey, we speak the same language. I understand what you're going through. I just went through that myself.
Yeah.
That kind of, yeah,
Yeah.
quick start. So
So, did you think of yourself like as you were doing through recruiting, did you and like I'm having to make 100 dials a day.
hmm
I'm having to interview 10 candidates and I'm having to place them and help negotiate and help them negotiate
hmm
and this is sales. Like
yeah, yeah.
did you ever say, "Wow, this is sales and now I'm a salesperson?"
I think I didn't wrestle with that for a while because
Okay.
recruiting can sound so different and you can kind of spin it differently in your head. So I didn't fully like embrace that title or role until I kind of fell in love with the business development side. So finding clients that needed to build their team, right? And then I realized, oh, that is just core sales, right?
Right. It's
But I was still able to kind of play the line and say, I'm selling, but I'm also still the talent, right? I'm still going to find those people. So I
sure.
would say before I didn't really fully grasp it probably until the last 5 years since I've been at Embark, if I'm being honest, because you can play both sides, right?
Yeah,
So
and
yeah,
well, because I mean, really, when you're calling people and helping your friends,
sure,
that's different. Like I'm
hmm
trying to find you a better situation, and
totally,
I just want to be
yeah,
a resource for
yeah,
you, and
yeah,
so I could see how that could change as you move from because we all know in recruiting, I don't really need people looking for a job.
hmm
What I need is companies looking
yes,
for
that's what
candidates.
drives the business.
And
Yes,
so I'm
yeah,
sure you had a
yep,
switch at
yep,
some point in recruiting. So how did you make that switch from going
yeah,
from maybe candidate focused
yeah,
as maybe because that's an easier path
yep.
to company focused?
I think I saw obviously the people that had been there longer than me performing at higher levels had that, right? So
Yeah.
on the candidate side, it's that one-to-one relationship. You can place someone once, right?
Mhm.
In a certain time period.
Sure.
But on the client side, it was a one-to-many relationship. Oh, we actually just relocated here and we need to fill our full team of 15 people, right? And it kind
Yeah.
of like, yeah, light bulb moment from that point.
So then you're calling on mainly then companies.
Hmm.
And
Yep.
so if you're making these dials,
Hmm.
how did you have success getting in front of these companies? How did you do that? How did you
Yeah. So through building my network, right, you have, oh, hey, you're a controller here now. I noticed you guys have some job openings.
Okay.
Are you open to using an agency? Right. We had the unique advantage of our leads being posted online.
Sure.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Okay, so whenever you see those roles filled and you were calling and saying, "Hey, I know you probably need to
mhm.
fill roles," like,
Yep.
"Oh, I see.
Yep.
Okay. Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
much. I'm not too deep into the recruiting, but
Yep.
so that's really
Yeah.
interesting."
Yeah.
So then you had success there
Yep. Yeah.
and you started to develop that muscle of
Mhm.
sales and business
Yep.
development.
Yep.
And then, what were some of the biggest things that you took away from like how do I be successful in a
Yeah.
role like that?
Yeah, I think what I internalized pretty early in recruiting was like I wanted to be my network's person. So I wanted the first call and only call when something happened.
Uh,
And I was willing to put in the work to establish myself um, to do that. And that has been something that has changed the whole trajectory of my career, I would say. Yeah.
in what way?
Um, I was able to establish myself there as a kind of that trusted advisor when you're building your
I see.
team or looking for a new job, right?
Yep.
In a world where there's like a ton of competition and seemingly a lot of people that do what you do, how do you differentiate yourself?
So
Um,
how did you do that?
I think a good example of it, one that really sticks out to me was ultimately a pivotal client for me back in the day. Um, they were going through a turning point, had a lot of kind of turnover on their teams, and they're really trying to kind of upskill their team.
Yeah.
And being a brick and mortar retailer, they wanted their fees low, and they called everyone and their mom to help them do this. In contingency staffing, they don't have to pay a dime until they find the person they like. So,
Yeah.
I remember being on this initial call where they were like, "Hey, we have these 12 roles we need filled." Kind of walking through each role. And at the time, it was a conference call, no video. It's funny. And me and every competitor in Dallas, I swear. So I'm on there with all my competitors.
So they had a group call
Yes.
with all.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty
Very,
bold.
very bold, very on brand for them at the time. But I just decided like, I'm gonna crush this.
Okay.
And I'm gonna do whatever it takes to do it. And I think at the time it felt crazy because the fees were low. You could go place these really good people they wanted somewhere else at a much higher fee. But I like believed in what they were building and I really liked them. And I just like wanted to prove myself. And this was early in on my kind of business development flip. Um, and so I did. I filled most of them. At the, fast forward, I had placed almost 40 people there over the next few years.
Wow.
And I was so proud of that. And I felt like an extension of their team. It was just such a light bulb moment for me. That I think just putting in the work, whatever it
Yeah.
took to get that job done and
Yeah.
be that first call and only call when things popped up, right?
And so it's really positioning like you were saying,
Mhm.
positioning yourself as that valuable
Mhm.
resource by doing the
Yep.
work, by actually creating value.
Yep.
And that's
Yep.
that's hard for a lot of business development people to do,
Yep.
is because we are viewed as mainly as a walking waste of time. And so we have to overcome
Exactly.
that initial, like, why would I
Totally.
talk to you at
Totally.
all? And so what value are you bringing? And
Mhm.
so you were willing to put in the work to solve
Mhm.
their issue.
Yep.
And obviously you're getting paid to do that,
Yep.
but you were getting paid less than you
Yeah.
would on other
Yeah.
things, but you wanted to do it for
Yep.
them.
Yep. And I think since that was early on for me, some of the more tenured recruiters in the industry kind of brushed GameStop off.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yes.
That's a low fee.
Yep.
They're never going to get what they want, whatever. And I was just determined to get them what they wanted.
Yeah.
And
Because
I
you
don't
saw the opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think looking back, I don't think I had the foresight to see long term what that could mean. I just knew I'm going to learn from this
Uh-huh.
and I'm still going to do well.
Yeah.
But I don't think I could have known that fast forward 10 years, those people that I helped build their team and the people that I placed there are now at 50 new companies
Yeah.
and I'm their first call and only
Yes.
call. Right.
Yes.
I couldn't have known that back then, but that has been just like a huge light bulb moment for me. Right.
Yeah. And so when you think about that activity level that you're doing and what it took to get those candidates placed, you went
Mhm.
above and beyond. And so it probably took a
Absolutely.
lot of work to get
Absolutely.
to that point.
Absolutely.
And so you were doing that valuable activity to make that work. I love it. And so you shifted from this candidate focus to, this story around, this large company here in Dallas. And
Mhm.
then you probably then started seeing more opportunities with other companies.
Mhm.
And so how did you break in, other than the controller level? Like, hey, we saw a posting. Were there any other things that you were using that, as you progress your career in recruiting, that really worked for you?
I think it's easy to say like all job postings are online, but at the time companies weren't necessarily that tech savvy. So many of them, it was still kind of like, I've got to call you. What are you guys up to? Oh, you
Mhm.
just had someone resign. Oh, you are growing. You just did an acquisition. You're going to need people. It was still like that. There's a level of cold outreach you always need to keep.
Yep.
And then just like, do you have a scalable, repeatable process?
Mm. So
Yeah.
what did your process look? I'm sure it looks a little different today,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
Just as we uh, mature in our experience and career in
Mhm.
different roles. But what did it look like back then? Did you have a structure to your week or?
Yeah, yeah. So we had a pretty rigid culture um Addis and I'd say rigid, but I like get really nostalgic about it. We had a bullpen,
Oh
right?
yeah, let's
So
go.
everyone's right there. There was a dozen of us. It's like some of them are still my best friends to this day. Um, you know, 9 to 11 is prime time. Get
Prime
on the
time.
phone.
You're on the phone.
We're doing
That's your
outbounds.
call block.
Yes.
Okay.
Um, do not open your email for any whatever. It's like your,
Yep.
blinders are on to go do that. Because it's really easy in our roles to be very reactive. Who's in my inbox? What do I need to do? Whatever. But unless you put those blinders on, and get that, organization and kind of hygiene to your day,
Yeah.
it's really hard to keep the proactive piece of what we need to do.
And
Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't realize the level of activity it is needed
Yeah.
to create
Yeah.
results.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times we look at, just like with our Instagram and TikTok culture
Right.
today, like we look at the surface level stuff that people are doing,
Yep.
like they're out at events and they're
Mhm.
doing this kind of thing,
Yeah.
instead of like the work behind the scenes that
Yep.
it takes to actually get the results
Yep.
that you need. And
Absolutely.
so I love that you highlighted that. So were you building, like obviously you were being paid to build your network of
Mhm.
super valuable people at the time in
Sure.
finance and
Yep.
accounting, but were you doing anything outside of that to build your network, or was it still you were in kind of this, I'm going to call it a sales role,
Mhm.
but you probably didn't, you said you
Yeah.
probably didn't think of it that way.
I think, I don't think at the time I could see the full ecosystem of what I was operating in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very black and white, find roles, fill roles, right. Very, very
Yeah.
blinders on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because when you have that, the firm, and it's very, you
Mhm.
said rigid,
Yep.
right? It's very structured
Yep.
on how you approach
Yep.
it. When we come into those roles, it's like, and you're new to the
Mhm.
role, it's like, oh, okay, I just do this stuff. Okay, this is
Yep.
normal. But then when you leave, it's like, wow, look at all that stuff. I can't
Totally.
believe that.
Totally. Totally.
Okay, so
Yeah.
then so how long did you spend in recruiting?
8 years.
8 years.
Yeah.
So you were 8
Yeah.
years in recruiting. So
Yeah.
tell me about the next kind
Yeah.
of
I just hit
change.
an interesting point where I was getting a little restless. The function of the role was to do the same trick over and over again, right?
Yeah, sure.
And the nature of recruiting can be pretty transactional, right? You're working with a CFO to find a controller, you find them someone
Mhm.
amazing, they don't need you again for a few years,
Yeah.
right? So I was kind of, I'd started in professional services. I liked that. And then all my best candidates kept getting recruited to Embark. And I'm thinking, like, what are they building over there? Um, and so it kind of got my wheels turning, and I got really excited thinking about, like, I could see the potential. I could see the need in the market, right? It's hard for companies to hire. There's an interim spot.
Yeah.
How are they getting served there? Being in Big Four, I knew the pros and cons of what it looked like for a company to hire Big Four, and I could see an opportunity for a player in the kind of smaller space there to have an alternative. So this was a true, like, me running to Embark, to where before I felt like I was running away from accounting, or maybe the travel piece there, running to Embark.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you went over to Embark, and what were you running towards?
Yeah. So I don't know that I could articulate it fully at the time, but just I knew that there was an opportunity in the market for those people.
Yep.
The team was all ex Big Four. So those were like my people, I would say. Like,
Sure.
it felt very familiar. Um, And so, yeah, running to that, I just knew it could work.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, when I joined, I was employee number 100.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think we did 15 million in revenue in 2019 when I joined. When I was ramping up in kind of fall of 2019, I just knew, like, I want to be so good at this. I will do whatever volume it takes to be good at this. And when I showed up, it was like, here's your laptop, go find some clients.
Yeah.
And I had a network, but there
Sure.
was no go to market strategy. There was no, like, here's what we're really good at, here's what we're not good at yet, or, here's our target client, here, all of that. It was learning by losing. And I
Uh-huh.
lost 13 deals before I won my first one, and it almost killed me. But it
Wow.
was like that, like, deep desire, like, I want to be good at this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and again, like I think these common themes continue to come up through
Yeah.
conversations around high motor
Yeah.
activity, like do what it takes, like get
Yep.
out there, bias for action.
Yeah.
And I love that you remember that you lost 13
Yeah.
deals before you won your first one, because I think people also, there's this level of, if I get out there and do the activity, I'm going to exercise that muscle. The
Mhm.
next time I'm going to get better. Next
Yeah.
time I'm going to be
Yeah.
bigger. I'm going to be faster
Yeah.
next time. Right.
Yeah.
And so I think that level of just get out there and do it,
Mhm.
because we're all going into business development roles that are unstructured,
Sure.
the majority of
Yep.
us. And so we've got to figure it out.
Yep.
And when you sit behind the scenes and you just observe and you wait for the right time, then
Mhm.
that's when you fail.
Totally.
And so tell
Yeah.
me more about, okay, so you started this and they were like, here's a laptop, just go, hey, we need
Yep.
business.
Yep.
Go figure it out,
Yep.
right?
So I had this network and they
Yeah.
trusted me and I had a ton of goodwill. I mean, we had built teams together. I got them better jobs, whatever,
Yeah.
right? Like there was goodwill. So when I would go to them and then we weren't the right fit, it was like, okay, reflection. Why are we like self
Sure.
learning? Like,
Yeah.
why were we not the right fit? What happened here? Could we have won it? Oh, that was just like not who we were and whatever, right? So thankfully that those relationships were good enough where I could go back and say, like, let me walk that back. I would like another chance at repositioning who we are and who we could be to you.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, humbling for sure, because I wanted to be a winner and then just like walking it back with some really amazing executives that I knew. Um, but yeah,
Okay. Okay,
yeah.
so refining your story, refining the
Hmm.
message,
Yep.
like understanding where you fit, where you didn't fit at
Yep.
this newish company
Yep.
that's coming up and growing.
Yep.
So finding that zone. So
Yes.
how long did it take you to find the zone?
So it was probably 3 or 4 months.
Okay.
And then I started to see some success and won some good projects for the firm. And then COVID hit. Right,
Yeah,
and all of
sure.
us in sales know when that happened, it was like music stopped.
Yep.
And the interesting dynamic there was that people actually wanted to talk more than ever
Uh-huh.
because they wanted to know what's going on, what are my peers doing, what's happening in the market, how do I navigate this? So while they weren't buying, um, I was really thinking through how do I add value to them there. And so we did some really creative things that first like 6 months of COVID, where things were kind of on pause, on how do I connect them to their peers? Can I create like an
Okay.
opportunity for them to like, brainstorm and spitball with their peers in the market? But it was a grind during those 6 months, and I think we had a small but mighty team at that time, and we really really pushed and stayed top of mind
Mm,
and right there at the rim. So towards the end of 2020, when things really opened up, I mean, it was a hockey stick moment for the firm, and we were right there, and we really capitalized. Thank goodness, it was just such a wild time for anyone in the
it
space
was
then.
for sure.
Um, so yeah, it was a hockey stick moment for the firm, and then it was really interesting because the firm did a great job investing in new offerings at that time. So I was learning go-to-market strategy for these new offerings while we were building it.
Mm,
Which on one hand was exciting and a big push, but then you're like, oh, you guys are like learning on my
yeah.
clients, right? So that was unique too. And how do you cross sell and what does that look like? And
Oh,
we were
yeah.
just learning it on the fly.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
cross sell is always a big topic at any
Yep.
professional service firm, and it's become synonymous with sales,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
bad for
Yeah.
firms, most firms. And so, but I want to go back
Yeah.
to, so y'all saw COVID as an opportunity to bring people together
Yes.
because and that's super smart because I didn't really think about that, right? When I was in there, I was just trying to figure out ways that our firm, we needed to work on stuff. And
Hmm.
so that was my time to start working on internal things,
Yeah.
like I think most people did. But I love the way that you said, yeah, people were used to getting together and now we're not. So now we've
Hmm.
got to find a way to get these folks
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
And that's how we're adding value. So then when everybody's coming out of it, things started opening up.
Yep.
Boom. Now we're getting all the
Yep.
opportunities.
Yep.
We're that first call.
Yep.
So I love that y'all did that.
Yeah.
And so then you were working on kind of, okay, y'all were growing and y'all are seeing new opportunities open up.
Mhm.
So tell me about how how did you shift that? Did that change your role or your focus as y'all were growing?
Yeah, so we experienced a ton of growth over that next year, and the firm was kind of becoming more sophisticated at that point, and we brought on managing directors. And so functionally, I was that engagement leader. I would go win the work and I would go lead the engagement, check on the client
Okay.
regularly, check on the
So
team
you were both.
regularly, did both. So I could still play that psychology of like, am I sales? I'm kind of leader, that line. But once we had the managing directors, it was like, you're sales. Okay, this is very black and white. So what does that look like, and how do you how do you wrestle with that too? And so that was a good turning point for the firm, and it was clunky for us, I would say, at first. And how do we share that responsibility with the client?
Yeah.
Um, but I think positioning the way we've positioned sales has been incredible, and I thank a lot of that dynamic to our founder. He was very BD forward. So our firm has been very BD forward. It's been kind of our secret sauce, in a way that, like, to most companies, it's kind of a behind the scenes
Sure.
kind of a,
Yeah, it's a thing that we have
concept.
to maybe
Yeah.
do,
Yep.
you know?
Yep.
Yeah. So, you've said some interesting things around, uh, you hadn't thought that you were a salesperson, like, I wasn't doing BD, and then now the role has changed a little
Yep.
bit to where
Yep.
now you're not doing any delivery at all.
Right.
You are
Right.
strictly sales or BD.
Yep.
Do y'all call it sales or BD?
We've done both.
Okay.
We're wrestling with that ourselves, but it BD, business
BD,
development.
okay.
Yep.
And so now you're a full-time BD with no
Mhm.
delivery metrics
Right.
associated.
Yep. Yep.
How was that, change for you?
Yeah, I think it was interesting, but I think it was also, like, being able to fully embrace that was a key to my success,
Mm,
because it was like, these are my responsibilities that I need to be super good at. The rest, I have someone to pass the ball to now, right?
yeah,
And they can go be excellent
yeah,
at those things. And because of that, we will make this pie bigger. Right.
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So then you keyed in on, like, hey, instead of moving it from your clients on a delivery, you're
Mhm.
delivering to your firm.
Yep. Yep.
And so that's
Yep.
your delivery mechanism
Yeah. Yeah.
is your business
Yeah.
development. And so
Yeah.
I will speak from my experience. I know that I struggled with embracing being a salesperson
Mhm.
early on
Yep.
when I was at ADP. I remember coming in like 6 months later and it's like, these people don't want to talk to me. These business owners don't want to talk to me. Nobody wants to talk to me because I'm a sales guy. Like,
Mhm.
I need to mix it up and call myself something different.
Yeah.
And that was me wrestling with embracing like sales has value.
Yes.
Salespeople have value. Business development
Totally.
has value,
Yep.
but it's hard to because again, we're thought of as that waste of time. Like
Yep.
sales folks are always trying to get business owners, decision makers'
Mhm.
attention,
Sure.
and half of the time it's not ever relevant to what it is that they do on a daily basis
Mhm.
or that any decisions that they actually make. Like this, I
Yep.
don't do IT. I'm the
Yeah.
sales leader. Like,
Yeah.
why are you reaching out to me? And so I think it's this wrestle that we usually have to
Yeah.
go through. And so you embraced it. And, again, thinking about your delivery is now to the firm rather than to your clients,
Mhm.
but you're still serving the same people.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I worked with the guy, in recruiting, and he was just the master of analogies, and
Okay. Yeah.
I am not, so I'm gonna may butcher this, but, I think that the way he put it was so clever. It's like, you don't need to know where your fire extinguisher is until there's a fire, and you're like, "Oh my gosh, where did I put that thing?"
Yes.
Right? So it's like, how do you that's who you are to your clients. "Hey, you may not need me today, but I'm here. I want you to know me. I want you to
Mm,
know what I'm good at,
yeah.
so you file me appropriately."
Yeah.
Um,
And all that activity and relationship building is all dependent upon an opportunity via timing.
Totally.
That's it.
Totally.
And so we have to be in the right position at the right
Mhm.
time
Mhm.
to have those conversations. I
Yep.
cannot force somebody to talk about what I do and what I talk
Totally.
about if they
Totally.
are not ready to have that
Totally.
conversation. And even if they're super nice and
Mhm.
they're like, "Sure, Neil, we'll talk," then they're not going to buy. I'm not
Yep.
going to be able to convince somebody to buy
Yep.
my thing.
Yep.
That's not what sales or
Yep.
BD is, but that's
Yep.
what we think it is inherently.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so I love that analogy is like, how do we position ourselves as the fire
Yep.
extinguisher for when the fire happens, I'm the call.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And so how did you continue? So now you're full-time BD. How did that
Yes.
change your role or
Yeah.
change your
So,
rhythm?
being part of this, like, hyper growth startup, I've worn a lot of hats. At the core, I've always been business development, grow the firm, drive revenue, find clients that need help. But it's, "Hey, manage this pod of 4 to 6. Hey, I, like,
Mm.
was, the national lead the team of 42, uh, figure out go to market, and also we still need you to be the top producer, by the way."
Funny how that
Yes,
works.
yes, and then currently, manage the Dallas market, Texas market, which is a small and mighty team, and, refining go to market, yeah,
Yeah.
that kind of thing, so,
Okay, so
yeah.
you've then managed, so over the course of your time at Embark, you've managed business development people,
Mhm.
you've been a part of the go-to-market team nationally. You were
Mhm.
there. So, could you tell me about any specific things that worked or didn't work, or strategies, or things that,
Yeah.
like, from a leadership perspective?
Yeah. Yeah. So going back to like our founder being very growth minded, and that's
Mhm.
at the core of Embark and what we're trying to do. Um, we have tried everything and we're not afraid to try something and
Okay.
it's not
But
right. Walk it back. Let's try something else.
yep.
And I have learned so much just from that disposition.
Yeah.
It's felt chaotic at times
Sure.
for sure. But it's truly opened my eyes to like, let's try it. This,
Yep.
yeah. Yeah. Um, so so yeah, I think, at one point I'll say this. When I started, um, we had a guy that had been there and he was very soft spoken and he was a golfer. And they were like, well, just do that. Right. And I'm like, well, I don't golf and I'm really excitable, like fast talker. So like maybe this is not the place for me. So like trying to authentically find like what your
Mm,
style is. Who are you in BD? What does it look like for you to like drive discovery, executive level conversations?
okay.
It's gonna look a little different for everyone. So finding your style and then managing a team of people where you're like, there's a lot of ways up the mountain.
Different
How
style.
do I coach you, develop you, encourage you to be successful? It's really hard.
It's very
Yeah.
difficult, but you keyed in on like a big piece, which
Mhm.
is everybody. There's a lot of different ways to develop $1 million pipeline.
Yep. Yep.
There's specific buckets of
Yep.
activity that you can choose from. It's kind of a choose your own adventure with
Yep.
guardrails,
Yep.
right? Like we
Yep.
need to keep you on the
Yep.
tracks. But at the same time, what we've got to do is help you define your authentic
Mhm.
voice because that's going to help you be more confident. It's
Yep.
going to help you commit to the activity. It's not that we're not going to ask you to do uncomfortable things,
Mhm.
but we are going to say, what style do you want to be?
Yeah.
So, what did your style end up becoming?
Yeah. So, I think because I've been selling to the office of the CFO for 15 years,
Mhm.
I understand how our client thinks
Mhm.
about like how they would use a firm like us. And so I typically go in and say, "Oh, you have this problem. Hey, we're great for that." Or actually, you should probably call this firm because that's really like their special, right? Just positioning. So that's maybe an advanced topic that's not super helpful in general, but um I guess back to your question about like what's worked, what's
Yeah,
didn't
authentic for
work.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your
Yeah.
authentic BD? Like, how do you go
Yeah.
and do it? Execute.
I think at this point, I've been doing it so long. I'm like here for the plot. Like I love. I'm generally curious about like how are you growing, evolving, scaling, that kind of
Mm,
thing. So like high level business conversations. If you want to get to talk about like rev rec, technical accounting, whatever, I will absolutely plug you in with my MD. But like I want to hear like how is your business growing? What are your biggest problems? Um, at a high level.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
and I drive discovery that way.
you're
Yeah.
coming in from a problem solving. I would say that, my whenever I was trying to find my voice, I talk about finding your
Mhm.
voice in BD and like
Yep.
what that looks like. For me, when I was coming up, it was being the most helpful connector of
Mhm.
people. And so
Mhm.
it's like I would get, hey, Neil, you banker, like who do you know? Like we're trying to figure this thing out. Sales, what do you
Mhm.
know? Right.
Yep.
And so trying to position myself in that way as the resource
Yeah.
because of the waste of time potential that we could be viewed as like, well,
Yeah.
Neil knows everybody. I'll
Yes.
take a meeting with Neil
Yep.
because he like, yeah, I don't want to buy accounting services from Neil,
Mhm.
but like he would be a helpful guy to know if something, the fire extinguisher
Yep.
analogy,
Yep. Yeah.
he'd be a helpful guy to call,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And so I found that, and then being able to um, be yourself
Yes.
because I don't know if you dealt with this. I think we all go through it at some point, but it's who I am professionally and how I try to
Mhm.
present myself
Yeah.
and who I am at home around
Yeah.
happy hour.
Yeah.
Like you have to integrate those
Yes.
two because if you
Yep.
don't, it feels inauthentic.
Absolutely.
So I don't know,
Yes.
did you ever have that issue
Yeah.
or
Yeah. Like I said, when I started, they were
yeah?
like, be a soft spoken golfer. And I was
Ah.
like, well, that's not me. So when you start to see success, there can be major imposter syndrome.
Imposter,
Yep.
yes,
Yep.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
so as you're like leading, so let's get back on leading.
Yeah.
So what makes a good BD person?
I think it's just strong work ethic, high motor, like we talk about. Can you drive yourself to do the calls
Mhm.
and the meetings you know you need to do to hit? Or do you like need someone saying, "Hey, you were shy on your numbers again this week." What, right? Like,
Mhm.
kind of just that self-starter. And I think that's probably literally like the
The
biggest
big one.
piece.
But
Yeah.
so for that, but there's a challenge there is because not
Mm.
many people fit that profile.
Mhm.
And so but we need good BD people.
Mhm.
And so, eh, were you always just on the lookout for high motor? And obviously there's other factors at play,
Yep.
but what happens if they don't have a high motor? Like, did y'all have any of those people where you had to support them a little bit
Yep.
more? And what did that look could they be successful?
Yeah, because I think it's everyone's kind of win rate looks different. What does it take for you to convert kind of
Yeah.
thing? That looks different. So we have some people that their metrics aren't as high, but they still can drive an immense amount of revenue because they're it's like the timing piece. Did the timing just work out and they made sure
Yep.
those meetings counted and
Sure.
they were with the right people and all of that. So kind of like there being a level of grace too, being like, this isn't the specific equation to get to the
Right.
revenue.
Yes.
But are people doing the right things with the right targets, right? Pulling in the right people. Yeah.
And when you've had to have maybe a reset
Mhm.
conversation with some of your BD folks,
Mhm.
w- what did that look like? How do we get folks back on track to focus on the right things?
Um, I think that's such an interesting question, and one that I ask myself often too.
Sure.
After you've been doing this like so long, how do you stay motivated? How do you keep that motor
Yeah.
high? All of that. There's a book called Drive, and
Yeah.
I forget the author,
Yeah.
but it basically long term motivation comes from two things: mastery and purpose. So it's one thing to be really good at this job,
Mhm.
but like does that keep you driving as hard as you can? And then purpose, I think, is a really interesting thing to wrestle with too. Is I believe at the core of what my firm is doing. I know there's an opportunity in the market. I
Mhm.
know I'm contributing and making an impact on the org. All of that. So I think that like really instills long term motivation.
Sure.
Um, but wow, it's hard to get someone going if they can't get themselves going. You know.
Yes, I would agree with that, and I think it's that combo of here's the framework of playbook, here's
Hmm.
the activity that we really want to see, and
Hmm.
here's some examples of people who've done it
Yep.
well, with the you just gotta go and get it.
Yep.
You
Yep.
gotta go and
Yep.
want it more. Like,
Yep.
that's the story that you've been telling me this
Yeah.
entire time is you just said, "Hey, I wanted it more.
Yep. Yep.
I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get
Exactly.
this thing." Right.
Exactly.
And so so those are the again, the unicorn people,
Mhm.
but we've got all these other folks on our org that are doing
Mhm.
business development. And so this level of how do we reset some
Yeah.
of those folks
Yeah.
on down the right path and give them to help them find their voice. Maybe they haven't found it
Totally.
yet. And so you've hired, I'm sure, a lot of BD people,
Mhm.
and most of them don't make it 12 to 18 months.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. There's a major, like, failure to launch risk in what we do.
Yeah.
I think what we're wrestling with right now too is we have, like, these 3 buckets of people.
Yeah.
So, on the far end, we have these high performers that are self-motivated. They're gonna drive, right? We need to support them differently. Risk around them looks different,
Sure.
right? And then you have your new folks. How do we give them the training and development maybe I didn't
Yeah.
get, from I had to learn by losing. How can we
Yeah.
let them learn by winning?
Yeah.
And have faster starts. That's hard. That's really hard in a
Yeah.
different way. There's a ton of risk there in different ways. And then you have that middle bucket where you're like, okay, you're producing
Yeah.
average amount, you're a positive culture impact, but like, do I have my mind anchored in the wrong way if I'm like, you should be a unicorn too? Or is
Mhm.
it like we have
It's
mid level
okay.
performers and they're going to be
It's okay.
consistent? So
Yeah.
just like reconciling that culture of those people,
Yeah.
all being together, is something we're wrestling with right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think when you're a startup,
Mhm.
like we need the high performers.
Yep.
We need the self-driven, they'll
Mhm.
figure it out, they're gonna be okay.
Yeah.
But then as your firm grows, we're gonna have different levels of performance
Yeah.
and that we have to manage too and support them
Mhm.
differently. And so I think that's why it's super important as organizations continue to develop. It's they need to be super tight on who we serve, why we serve them, problems
Mhm.
we solve, like
Mhm.
activities. Here's the metrics. Here's the like this is what you're shooting for, and we're going
Yep.
to hold you accountable to this so you can get started.
Yep.
Because if you can get started in the right
Yep.
way, then that motor is turning and you're seeing more
Yep.
success, and then you're
Yep.
more motivated to get out there more because you're going to have bad days. You're going to
Sure.
have bad weeks and
Sure.
months. And so this job is a roller coaster at
Mhm.
times. And so is there any other profiles that you typically look at? Because I know that y'all were all very focused on Big Four
Yep.
folks,
Yep.
but is there any other profiles that you look for outside of high motor that's interesting for
Yeah,
y'all
I
on
think
BD?
it's really hard. So, our thesis on hiring business development is they have to have a point of view, right? So,
Mm,
um, several of our top performers have that accounting and finance background,
yep.
so they speak the language, they have the
Topical.
network, all of that,
Yep.
and the high motor is critical. The other, we have a team of energy folks that like maybe they didn't have accounting and finance backgrounds, but they can talk energy. So they're buyers, they talk the same language.
Industry. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And then we have, we've had a ton of success with our tech partners. So like a couple of the unicorns in that bucket, like understand how that tech works within our offerings. And so that's kind of their
I
Trojan
see.
horse
So
into,
those
yep,
channel partners
channel
that are
partners.
out there
Yep.
selling
Yep.
y'all as well as their
Yep.
services, like an
Yep.
addition combo.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of that one to many
Yeah.
relationship, right? So, tech partners have been huge. Audit evangelists have been huge, right? If they come in with a network of audit partners that get conflicted out of work or
Mm.
it's work they don't do,
Yep.
opening that referral channel. And then private equity has been a huge one for us too, right? They come in with those relationships or they just understand how that partnership would work. Those have been it. But like I would say, point of view and motor.
Yeah. Point of view and motor.
Yep.
I think that is huge
Yeah.
because that's the only way is you can go deep
Hmm.
instead of spreading yourself
Yep.
out thin.
Yep.
Because I know most of us when we get into one of these roles, we see the annual quota or we see the shot clock on us,
Hmm.
and then we just go do a bunch of activity that spreads us out.
Yep.
And you were like, again, with your background, you were set up for more success because you built your network with the people that would eventually hire
Yep.
you at your new role, which
Yeah.
was really cool. And that
Yeah.
sometimes that doesn't work out, but that's a testament to how you've like pieced the puzzles together and your high
Yeah.
motor.
But isn't that funny? Because looking back, it's looked like, oh, it's so intentional. And it was like, I
Yeah.
was just trying
Yeah.
to not travel 100% when I was 22, right?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
And I'm so grateful that this is a path. It's an incredible career. I truly think if you can find a way to be successful in business development, there is no better job in the world.
I 100% agree with you. I think that the opportunities are continuing to expand.
Hmm.
I think it's going to be one of the fastest growing firm level
Yep.
roles
Yep.
that as these firms continue to develop, there's going to be an endless supply of opportunities for business development. So when you're looking at your role today,
Mhm.
where are you focused on? What's been working for you? Because now you're probably in network maintenance mode.
Yes.
Really, you're always
Yeah.
open to meeting new
Yes.
people,
Yep.
but you're in network maintenance mode,
Yes.
really.
Yeah.
So tell me how your weeks look different, maybe now than they did
Yeah.
5, 10 years ago.
Yeah, so I spent the beginning of my career, like, hunting,
Yeah,
and then now it's,
100 calls a
like,
day.
farming,
Yeah.
right? So, um, staying top of mind is critical, and you don't want to start internalizing, like, "Oh, they know me, they'll call me when
Oh
something
my
comes
gosh,
up."
I hear
Yeah.
that at every firm all the
Yes.
time. I
Yes.
don't want to call my clients because they already know what I do.
Yeah.
They'll call me if they
Yeah.
need me, and we know that's not true.
Yeah. Yes,
We know
exactly.
because there's another Kate, there's another Neil calling
Totally.
them.
Totally, and they're hungrier, and
Yeah.
they're trying to stay top of mind more than we are, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so strategically farming my network is the bulk of my role.
Yep.
Um, how do you do that without asking them for business every touch point, right?
Tell me.
Yeah, so so I think about it in a few ways. Like ultimately this feeds into this like how do you create a client for life idea?
Yeah.
Of course, we want to make sure we're kind of dripping the credentials, right? Here's what we're good at. Here's
Yeah.
what we do. So we offer CP. Hey, we're doing this.
Okay.
Here's this thing coming up.
Great.
Would love to offer this to you, whatever. Networking is a big piece that busy executives know they need to do, but don't do. So I facilitate a lot of events and opportunities for them to get to know their peers
Cool.
in large groups and small groups. Um, and yeah, just always looking for like how do you drive value to their day versus
Yeah.
just asking for their business.
Well,
Yeah.
and you hear this term so many times across business
Mhm.
development or really in professional services, it's add value.
Yep.
Go out and add value.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
nobody really knows what that means.
Yes.
But what you've highlighted is really two different ways.
Mhm.
It's one, it's, hey, we know you have CPE requirements,
Yep.
so we're going to be the one to bring you CPE
Yep.
or an option. And it's going to be fun and it's going to be us.
Mhm.
And the other one is these client experiences,
Mhm.
like these. You probably do dinners. You
Yep.
probably do like small group get-togethers. You probably
Mhm.
connect clients
Yep.
together,
Yep.
and so it's creating that connection, which is
Mhm.
what you've been doing for a
Yep.
long time. Is that
Yep.
web weaving?
Mhm.
But the most successful firms that I've seen in business development do that intentional
Yep.
like roundtables
Yes.
or whatever
Yep.
that looks like, but they've
Yep.
got to get people together. It's that, again, creating a gravity pull
Yep.
into
Yep.
us. Like, how do we help our people? But that's adding
Exactly.
value.
Exactly. And then the third piece of that is when they do need you, you better crush it. Right.
Do good work,
Do good work.
do great work.
Yes.
But that's also
Yeah.
been the mantra
Yep.
for professional service,
Yep.
is that's become standard.
Yep.
Like, if you don't do good work,
Yep.
you're not going to see them again.
Yep.
And so
Yep.
this do good work over a long period of time,
Mhm.
that's how business development has traditionally
Yeah.
been done, but
Yeah.
we know it takes that proactiveness.
Yes.
And so you're talking about do good work
Yep.
as the baseline, or I'm not
Yeah.
gonna get a call back, or they're not gonna
Yeah.
come to my client thing.
Yes, yeah.
We're gonna get
Yeah.
fired.
So I think the scary part of learning to pass the ball to my counterparts in execution is,
Ah.
can I count on you to
So
execute well consistently? And thankfully we have a great track record, but no firm bats 1,000, right?
no.
So the way that I position myself early on is to address like that human nature element of like, if we don't execute well, you can call me. Right. I'm
Yeah.
your break the glass person. Day to day technical questions, like call my managing director. But I'm ultimately like, hey, things go sideways. You don't like the way they drink coffee, whatever. You can kind of say it tongue in cheek, but like call me before you're just done. Right.
Yes.
And addressing that early on has like been a huge turning point for my client success, honestly.
Mm. And
Yeah.
so I love that, because we all are in that role where we have internal stakeholders, we have
Hmm.
external stakeholders that we've got to keep happy to keep
Hmm.
our pipeline filled.
Yep. Yep.
And so, how do you manage that relationship? And it's really just being open about
Yep.
the communication, because you've got to check in on the deal.
Totally.
You've got to make sure everybody's cool, right?
Hmm.
And so, how do you make sure that you're in the middle of it so
Yep.
you can manage
Yeah.
any misaligned expectations
Yes.
or things
Yep.
that come up with just doing client work?
Absolutely.
So, I think that's a really important point.
Yeah.
And then when you're managing in this farmer mode now,
Mhm.
where do you see business development headed for you or the firm, or like how are y'all thinking about the future? Because we got a lot of stuff coming up. Like,
Mhm.
everybody's looking for a silver bullet.
Yeah.
Everybody wants the
Yes.
tech automation.
Yes.
Like, I was talking to a group the other day, and all they wanted was just, I've got so much research and admin work, and I've got to do all this stuff, and
Yeah.
it's keeping me
Yeah.
from doing the activity that I
Yeah.
need to do.
Yeah.
And so we just need help. It's like, well, that's part of the job.
Totally. There's no easy
There's no easy
button.
button for
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. So the way I think about it is the core of what we do is market development, right? You've got to know what's happening in your market and who's growing, who's moving, yeah, all of it. Who's got the catalyst that opened the conversation for our
Mm,
services. What helps there's scalability pieces through these tech partnerships.
sure.
There's scalability through like strong referral partners in audit, right? Thinking about private equity, like layering those in. But like the core of how we built our business in 12x in 5 years, it didn't happen on accident. Like that's the play. It's hard work and it's the farming, strategic farming, and their scalability pieces, but not just thinking we can automate everything, right? It's still fostering relationships and gathering market intel and all of those things. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the market intel, it's the research, it's being
Hmm.
staying on top of the
Yep.
opportunities that will crack the window to,
Yep.
maybe if I reach out or maybe if I get an introduction, I'm going to be
Hmm.
able to have a good
Yep.
conversation. And I 100% agree with you. And I think that's a good one to end on. So thank you,
Yeah,
Kate.
of
This was
course.
great. Thank you for joining me. This was great.
Yeah.
So thank you all for listening or watching. And join us next time for more business development insights from great partners like Kate.